Dan Vandenheuvel and 5-time champ Scott Taylor share the points lead in Pro 2. Kyle LeDuc is hoping for 3 in a row in Pro Light. And Carl Renezetter holds the top spot in Pro 4. It's championship off-road racing, and it's next. Pro 2's Flying Dutchman is asserting himself early with a first and second place finish in the opening 2 rounds, but Scott Taylor mimicked Dan's performance, taking a first and second of his own. Kyle LeDuc has made a statement of his own, winning the opening 2 rounds, while defending champ Jeff Kincaid was parked along the side of the course with mechanical woes and finds himself only 16th in the points. 2003 Pro 4 champ Renezetter's point lead comes from a first and a third in round 2, which was a mud bog that Scott Douglas survived to win. Hi everybody, and welcome to round 3 of the CORR Lucas Oil Pro Series, the American Racing Wheels Championships from Antigo, Wisconsin. I'm Greg Kramer, joined once again by Larry Rice, and of course Ken Stout will be covering all the action down in the paddock area. Great to have you with us once again. We're going to start things off with Pro 2, always a very exciting division as they roll out onto the track. Now, it's not a track that they usually run on. Take a look at this swamp, this lake that has unfolded because of the incredibly heavy rains. They have had to make a complete course change on the track, and of course our Ken Stout snuck down and is going to give you an update.
This is what the track looked like this morning as once again Mother Nature hammered us here in Antigo, Wisconsin. But since then, the skies have cleared up, the sun has come out, it's gorgeous outside, and our sportsman divisions have run. Yeah, it's sloppy out to the side of the track, but if you come out here into the groove of the track, they actually have a blue groove already working here in turns 1 and 2. This clay is hard as a rock, and it's actually taking rubber off of the tires. It's also starting to rut up a little bit, and it's very wide here between turn 1 and 2. They could go 2, 3, maybe even 4 deep, but then they'll head down to turn number 3, and that ruts up real bad. Look for those guys to end up on their lid.
Wouldn't be a surprise. This track is always challenging. With that now, it's going to be even more so, and you can see them starting to queue up over there. Now, with this new track, what does that do to the race analysis, Larry?
Well, it's not really a lot different. The racetrack itself is different, but it's still 70 feet wide. It gets narrow as you go down into the first jump. It does take out that back section, so it is shorter, and it is more of an oval racetrack, which makes it a little more of a handling racetrack as far as the big fast corners go.
I'll be watching for that. There is a good look at Scott Taylor, one of the points leaders, and of course he shares that with Dan Vandenheuvel. And it's time for us to take a look at what this division's all about.
These are full-size two-wheel drive pickup trucks. Huge shocks on these things. Look at the travel they get, 18, 20 inches. 850 horsepower, and they have to weigh at least 3,400 pounds.
Let's take a look at our starting lineup with the inversion. You can see it's Chris Hansen and Carl Renezetter. Surprised he's that far down in the points. Barlow and Probst will make up the second row. Go back to row 3, Evan Evans with that new sponsorship. We'll talk about that. And Josh Baldwin. And then our 2 that are tied for the points lead, Scott Taylor and Dan Vandenheuvel. Outside of the inversion, in the next row, row 5, you're going to see Brian Hidman and Paul Seidler. And then at the back, Larry Gorley, who's still nursing some broken ribs. So it's a tough go for Larry here these days.
Yeah, it's very tough to drive these trucks because you take a good beating in these things up and over these jumps.
There's the green flag, and we are underway, and without a doubt, a great hole shot by Renezetter. Absolutely nailed it and hooked up beautifully. He leads down into this corner. You see that little pitch, and then pretty quick after this, look at Evan Evans down the inside. He found himself a line. That's that oval kind of race you're talking about. Tucked her down on the inside and let her snort.
Boy, he did. He got right down there on the bottom. I thought when he got in that water, it might slide up the racetrack, but it didn't. Oops, a little contact there as he got in the corner. Pushed the front end a little bit, but didn't seem to be too heavy.
Oh, the contact wasn't too bad, but it did look like it maybe backed up Vandenheuvel a little bit, and that's going to be of some concern. Look at right there, a great move by Probst as he's trying to work by and get around and into the lead, get by Renezetter up front. Here comes Evan Evans. He's got Hansen right alongside. Evans that inside line. Boy, I tell you, it is rough and choppy, just like Ken said down there. And Vandenheuvel, beautiful move down to the inside.
Well, those guys are battling. That was Josh Baldwin that spun back there as those guys were battling so hard. But Evan Evans, hard on the throttle, just pulls away from Vandenheuvel. Vandenheuvel goes to the outside.
Vandenheuvel got washed up high in the slop. Same story right there for the 88 of Hansen. And you can see if you get wide up there, it's going to cost you huge momentum. It hurt Vandenheuvel. It literally almost stopped Hansen.
Yeah, that's very heavy up there. Oh, Vandenheuvel gets wide, but Taylor made a nice move while all that was going on. And he's right in there, right in the thick of things.
Matter of fact, he's 4th. Back end kicks around a little bit. but it actually, boy, it hurt Vandenheuvel again. Looks to me like Vandenheuvel might be driving just a little bit too hard, too aggressive right now.
He keeps getting the back end out of that thing, losing some ground. Taylor in under Evans now. Evans didn't give way, though, still hard on the throttle.
Take a look at our top 5, and Vandenheuvel's still in it, but he's dropping back just a little bit. There is a good look at Evan Evans with that new Forest County Potawatomi sponsorship, and driving the wheels off the truck as he normally does. At least, hit some blue groove, that dry slick, and he used to make a living on that.
Boy, you got to be very careful when you hit the blue groove, and he almost pulled up in front of somebody, got T-boned. But on that blue groove, you hit the throttle just a little bit too hard, it'll bring that back end around, and you're exactly right. He just a little too much throttle right in the middle of that stuff and spun around.
That moves Hinman right there. Good look at Brian Hinman. Slots him now up into the 5th spot, and Evans has slid back to 6th. Hinman, and then he almost bicycles it.
He almost slid her upside down right there as he got her up on the bike and almost turned it over, but saved us. Larry Gorley now is all over Evan Evans.
Now look at that chop field that they're running through. All of those whoops. Imagine every time he kisses one of those faces. Look at the ribs.
Oh, yeah.
What Gorley's going through right now. That is a guy who's one tough hombre.
Pretty physically demanding.
And for Renasetter, being 7th in the points, pays off with an early points lead. Hinman rounds up the top 5. Coverage of the CORR Lucas Oil Pro Series is being brought to you by Nissan, Chef Performance, the official truck of championship off-road racing, and by Lucas Oil, worldwide leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants and the official oil of championship off-road racing. Welcome back to Antigo, everybody, and you can see Renasetter, Carl, the man, opening it up just a little bit. Good battle for second here between Kevin Probst and the number 1 in Taylor. Co-points leader in trouble. Vandenheuvel parked.
Yeah, it looks like he's had some contact. The hood has really bent down on that thing, and he's looking around. I don't think he's going to get going anytime soon.
Yeah, but seriously, buckle.
Yeah.
Boy, and I'll tell you, the guy who's grinning right now is that number 1, Scott Taylor, because that means he's got nobody in terms of the guy who's tied with him in the points. Taylor just needs to put a really good run together. He's trying to get underneath Probst. Not quite. Oh, Probst. Boy, is it rough and choppy in there.
Yeah, Probst on and off of the brakes, trying to keep that thing low on the racetrack, to keep Taylor behind him. Taylor looking on both sides. He's looking on the outside, inside, now back on the outside. Look at that. He hard on the brakes again. You can see when he gets on the brakes real hard, the back end of that thing races way up in the air. Taylor tried to get on the brakes harder and sneak under him. Couldn't do it because Probst kept it to the bottom of the racetrack.
Well, that part of the track that Ken was talking about where it's so soft, it's almost like glue in there. And you watch these trucks, one guy will hit it and it'll suck the momentum right out of him, and then the next guy will suffer it as well. Evans now coming after Hinman, and that is a pass for 4th. So Evan Evans on the rebound. You know, one thing you got to love about Evan Evans as this battle continues is I think Evans' throttle has 2 positions, on, wide open, and off.
Oh! He got against Hinman. Hinman on the outside. Hinman up and over that wheel, upside down. He's still under power. Hey. Unbelievable.
Hey, the classic flip and continue.
Well, I've seen him spin and win, but I've never seen him flip and win.
That was unbelievable. Watch it here, Larry.
Well, let's see. Evan Evans on the bottom of the racetrack. Hinman clear up on the cushion. Evans just slides up to him. Very slight contact. It doesn't look that bad, but it just happened to be that he caught that wheel and went right over the right rear wheel. His left rear wheel up and over the right rear wheel. Without those fenders on there, those wheels were unprotected. You see that in open wheel racing, hardly ever in this kind of racing.
Well, it looks too like, I mean, is it possible they're coming out of some of that real tacky stuff and then they hit some of that blue groove, that dry slick, and everything just skates on?
Well, I think that's what happened to Evan. He slid across that, got higher than he really wanted to be, and when they touched, they didn't really hit that hard. But with those exposed wheels, without those fenders on there, he hit once and didn't go over. But the second time, he was still on the gas, and he climbed right over the right rear wheel of Evan Evans.
Look at that unique line that Probst tried in there. He tried to diamond that corner, but he got in. Oh, a little bump there. Probst was trying something new, and I think it almost cost him.
Well, once those trucks get up on those whoops, they're bouncing sideways and everything. And look, it's Scott Taylor.
Boy, did he find a line. Actually, Probst had that bobble right as he went to throttle, and the back end came around, and Taylor just shot through underneath.
Well, it all happened back there in those whoops. Scotty Taylor got through there much better, so when he got to the corner, he was in a better position to hold the bottom.
Renasetter leads it with that battle for second, now raging with Evan Evans up to 4th. Welcome back to the American Racing Wheels Championships here in Antigo, Wisconsin. Looking at Evan Evans, and we were speculating earlier about his driving style. It's popular, that's for sure, with the fans. We asked him about it just a bit earlier.
You know, I've had some of my best sponsors tell me, don't let anybody change you. We hired you because you are aggressive and because you get your act out there where it needs to be. So, you know, if that's what it takes, if some people don't like my style, oh well, that's too bad for them. My style is to get out there, drive as hard as I can, get the job done, and hopefully be a net winner.
Well, he has fans. I'm guessing he also has at least one detractor out there right at the moment, and flying blind at that.
Yeah, Brian Hinman probably not real happy about it now, but that's just one of those, that's an oval track accident, really, with an open wheel car that they got into. Something happens quite often. But right now, his problem is seeing where he's going.
Well, yeah, you're right. That wasn't like he just center punched him or anything like that. I mean, he just drifted wide on some dry slick, and that happens. Meanwhile, up front, this guy, Renezetter, is just thumping the field right now. Obviously, he's got the benefit. Look at that groove out there. I mean, it is unbelievable what these guys are driving on.
Yeah, and you can see he was up on the top of that groove. There's a very thin margin up there they call the cushion. If you can stay right on that and not get above it, you can see right there that he got above it. Baldwin got above that cushion, and that let Scotty Taylor get under him, although he is being lapped.
Yeah, Taylor just trying, and then gets bumped by Baldwin at the same time. There's a little smoke coming off the back of Taylor's truck right now.
Yeah, there is. That's not a good thing.
There, yeah. Well, especially the opportunity he has with Vandenheuvel being out.
Yeah, I'm sure he's, they're telling him on the radios that that's back there, and he's a little concerned, but I think we're coming down this time for the white flag, so he's only got to make it one more time around.
Well, there you see Renezetter pick up the white flag. There's the margin. I mean, he's in a different time zone right now. Taylor, obviously getting by Baldwin, worried about the smoke, but he also has a bit of a margin built up over Probst with Evans fourth and Hinman damaged and flying blind, but still in fifth. But I mean, right now, I think Taylor surviving this one and getting those points is everything.
It is everything for him. And it, you know, Taylor's, one of his problems might be that, you know, because he had to get through all that traffic and battle, oh, right here, he's in trouble, and the thing stopped. He may, boy, he's got a half a lap to go, and it looks like he's having all kinds of problems.
Yeah, well, that thing, he threw it in there to pivot it, and I mean, it just almost locked up, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it acted like either locked up or the engine just had no power to pull him out of it, one or the other. There's plenty of power here, though.
Boy, Renezetter, you can see him pumping his fist, understandably, an absolutely great drive, giving him his first win of the season. That'll assuage that fact that he was only 7th in the points a little bit. Here comes Scotty just trying to stay clear of Baldwin, taking second. That'll help him in the points. But Renezetter gets himself a win that I'm sure he's been waiting for. Even though we're only in the 3rd round, this guy likes to be up front. Speaking of up front, this guy's been up front twice in the opening 2 rounds, winning both of them. Kyle LeDuc looking to make it 3 in a row. What are the odds of that happening in this brutal, brutal track? We'll be right back and find out. For the 2nd time this season, Carl Renezetter is going to celebrate from on top of a truck. He did it in Pro 4. Now he gets to do it in Pro 2. Here are the results for the 3rd round of the Lucas Oil Pro Series in Pro 2. Renezetter, Taylor, huge in the points. Probst, Evans, Hinman. You take a look at the rest of the top 10. Carl Renezetter is in the winner's circle. It's the FabTech winner's circle with Ken.
Something nice to give Caroline for her 8th birthday.
That's right. It's my daughter's birthday right here. She's 8 years old, and I'd like to thank all our sponsors, Lucas Oil, BF Goodrich, our team who thrashed so hard to get this truck ready after that really bad rainstorm and mud. And
talk to me real quick about this race. A track drastically different from the last time you saw it here at Antigo in round number 2. You came out, I mean, you hammered the throttle right off the bat and you drove away, but just talk to me about the changing conditions.
Well, the track came around, you know, we started getting some traction. It went blue in a few areas. We were hooked up. These BF Goodrich tires are awesome, and they get us to win a lot of races.
Excellent job. Congratulations. And guys, here's the birthday girl right here. Are you going to take the trophy home?
I don't know.
Well, somebody is, because that's going to be displayed. Here are the points now after the 3 rounds. And with Vandenheuvel's problems, Taylor assumes the lead all by himself, and Carl Renezetter leapfrogs from 7th to 3rd. Probst and Evans round out the top 5. We take a look at the rest of the top 10, and you can see Steve Barlow, who had started a little bit earlier up, he's fallen back in the points as well here. Now, It is time for the biggest field we're going to have. 17 Pro Light trucks are taken to the track right now. This is going to be absolutely, I think, a fascinating race on this track, considering the lack of power that these trucks have.
And there you see Jeff Kincaid rolling out. He's had a couple of mechanical failures already. So we ask him, what's your strategy for the rest of the year?
Well, you know, it's hard defending the title, you know, and it's you know, it's hard enough getting it, but defending it's even harder yet, you know. And I think the field's getting more equal and more equal. Everybody learns your tricks, and it's harder to get that little more edge that you usually have. And I think now it's going to start changing the way things are done. I think, you know, you're going to have to finish races to win championships, and that's basically our goal this year.
Well, the man knows how to do it, there's no question, but I'll tell you, he has come up on a tough hombre in terms of competition. That guy on the outside there, number 99, Kyle LeDuc.
Yeah, Kyle LeDuc has had a great season so far. Let's take a look at the Pro Lights. These are two-wheel drive, light-duty pickup trucks. They don't have near the suspension travel as the other trucks. Less horsepower, only 250 horsepower, and they have to weigh 2,800 pounds.
And as always, we're going to be getting some great onboard looks from Art Schmidt, the number 8 Nissan, sponsored by Nismo. So he's always going to be giving us a good run here. And we're going to take a look at our starting lineup. Again, top 8 in Burt, Huseman and Stacy Pike in the front row. Huseman, well, that's a story. Then Jim Kendall and Steve Federico in row 2. Mark Krieger and Chad Horde are in row 3. Row 4, Art Schmidt, and points leader by 10, Kyle LeDuc. Then we go outside of the inversion for the rest of the pack. Javier Socha and Randy Geller. We're also going to see Lee O'Donnell and Donnie Roberts, Mark Oberg and Shane Pagels, Don Ponder and Jeff Kincaid. Look at this, how far back he is. And then the young rookie, Josh Hintz, filling out the back of the field here in that 9th row. But for Kincaid, he's got to finish him, but he's got to survive an awful lot of traffic to do it. And it starts right now. We are green in Pro Light.
Wow.
Look at him fan out.
Look at Kyle LeDuc. He moved way to the outside. He went about 4 or 5 wide. Gained a couple of spots there. It looks like he's going to gain a couple. Uh-oh, a little bit of control.
Wait, how did that work for LeDuc? Unbelievable. That's Chad Horde.
Horde and Krieger down to the infield. Both those guys that worked for LeDuc, but not for those two guys.
Well, when those two started the squeeze play, I mean, LeDuc just shot through, and it paid huge dividends as they then got all tangled up. And boy, for Kyle LeDuc, nothing's going wrong so far this year. It's been great.
Wow, he got sandwiched on both sides. He got kind of tagged from both sides, and he made it through, and a couple other guys didn't. Meanwhile, Art Schmidt riding back there, trying to just get through the traffic so he can get up there and battle with LeDuc.
Oh, I love the sound of those high revving small pickup engines in full battle mode here. Speaking of battle mode, LeDuc wasting no time going after Huseman.
These two young lions really going after each other, LeDuc and Huseman, man.
Well, a bit earlier, we were kind of speculating with Kyle. Who does he think with this big points lead is the guy to beat for the championship?
I wouldn't say we have to beat Jeff Kincaid. I mean, he's been fast. He's won championships, that's for sure. But I think everybody out there needs to beat Rick Huseman. He's the fastest guy. He knows that. That's the biggest thing. He knows he's the fastest guy. Kincaid is consistent and can get his truck around and get points. Don't get me wrong, he's fast, but I think on the track we need to beat Huseman.
Well, and that's the guy he's trying to beat right now.
Wow, how prophetic is that? And Huseman just won't give up. Twice LeDuc has been around him, and Huseman just wouldn't give in, kept on the throttle, and pulled back in front.
I think you're looking at two distinct types of motivation here. For Huseman, he's been struggling. He's just trying to get to the front and stay there. As we go on board with Art Schmidt, Kyle LeDuc, he's got the motivation of confidence, but he's got to get by Huseman. Welcome back to the 3rd round of the CORR Round Pro Series. Greg Kramer, along with Larry Rice and Ken Stout, on board with Art Schmidt, who currently sits in the 5th spot. The guy that he's trying to get by in that black truck is Jim Kendall, and he's giving him a run. Boy, he's down to the inside. Left-hander coming up, and Schmidt is through, picks up that next spot. Now the guy in front of him is Federico, that P.F. Chang's machine. We look back, right there was Lee O'Donnell. We just got a quick glimpse of. But here is the battle a little bit further back in the pack as well.
Look at this, Jeff Kincaid back in 8th, still struggling to get up there. He started a long way back, made a lot of progress, but he's got a long way to go.
But look at the arc that LeDuc takes into that turn to try and get that truck rotated and get out of that big chunky stuff. And I was going to ask you about that. I alluded to the relative lack of horsepower these trucks have compared with the other ones. Does that mean that they really have to fight to stay out of that big, wet junk and really look for the finesse and smooth part of the track?
Yeah, the black groove doesn't hurt them near as much as, or the blue groove doesn't hurt them near as much as it does some of the other guys. But they get in that real heavy, muddy stuff. They really have to keep the RPMs up or it bogs those engines down. And you can see there's battles everywhere back there.
That's Kincaid trying to get around Shane Pagels, and he has to do it the long way around. It looked like he carried some decent momentum out. Oh, and Huseman! Huseman's gone around.
I said the blue groove wasn't bad to him, and then he spun down there. Looked like that's what happened to him. Man, oh man.
So not only now does Kyle LeDuc have the lead, but look at the lead. He's got 3 in a row. Unbelievable. Schmidt now sitting in second.
Federico's third, and Huseman's fallen all the way back to fourth. So that was a huge mistake for Huseman, and I'm sure now what he wants to do is make sure he doesn't make another mistake on top of that one and cost himself more time. He's got time to get back up front.
We got to be impressed too, though, with the run that Art Schmidt's putting on here, because he got by Federico in pretty quick order. And look at Huseman trying the inside of Federico.
Got it down to the bottom side, hugging that bottom side. There's a little bit of wet dirt down on the inside if you can catch it. Doesn't look like he caught it that time.
Kincaid now taking the run around Jim Kendall and trying to move up, pick up another spot. And for Kincaid, you know, as he said, I got to finish something here right now. And he's just trying to do that and obviously do it as far up the order as he can.
Well, he's done a great job. I mean, he's moved a long way up. Don't forget, he started clearing back. Look at Federico.
Oh, and he stalled it.
He stalled it. Something happened. The engine quit. He almost took Huseman with him, and it doesn't look like he's getting that thing restarted.
Unbelievable. And such a good run going. Meanwhile, now look at Kincaid taking full advantage. And here's what may have happened to Huseman.
Yep, he just got in there too hard. He hit the blue stuff. He was in the blue stuff way back up the racetrack. And the time he hit the wet dirt, he was already too far around. He just came on around on him.
What's the old saying? He got a bit behind in his steering?
Yes, he certainly did. A little heavy on the throttle.
Yeah, you can see some smoke rolling off those tires. That is how hard-packed that blue groove is. And for Kyle LeDuc, maybe 3 in a row. County Fairgrounds, Antigo, Wisconsin, for the American Racing Wheels Championships. You're riding on board with Art Schmidt, sitting in second place, and has really put together a very good drive. But he's getting some pressure now as Rick Huseman recovered very quickly and effectively from his spin and is now trying an outside move on Schmidt.
Well, a little rubbing right there as he tried to get on the outside. Meanwhile, Kincaid is right behind these guys. They don't want to bang on each other too hard.
What a move by Huseman, though. He went out wide. Schmidt drove him up just a little bit. Huseman let him go, turned underneath, and shot through. That was a brilliant piece of racecraft by Rick Huseman.
And you can see Schmidt right there. He got in the blue groove, then drove down to that wet mud on the inside, trying to get a little forward bite, but it didn't quite work as Huseman had a great run off that cushion.
We have a yellow flag zone right here. Something has happened. There's Jeff Kincaid, and oh, it's Ponder. And he's on his side, so they're working on that, trying to take care of it. Meanwhile, haven't seen a lot of this guy because when he got up front, he had a pretty good margin built. That is Kyle LeDuc, who is really sort of setting this pro light class on its ear this year.
Boy, he has had a terrific start, and he's looking good here today as he's got quite a good lead on everybody else. As everybody else back there, you can see they're a few car lengths back, truck lengths back, but they're battling each other, and that's just going to help him.
Great battle is right. Here's Art Schmidt sitting in that third spot, but you've got Kincaid that's coming along. There's Jeff just trying to save something here. Now we go back to the battle for fifth. That's 63 Kendall and 23 O'Donnell in the yellow Nissan, and they're at war.
Yeah, and Lee O'Donnell's having a very good run here. He started way in the back of the pack, and he's moving his way towards the front, really having a nice run.
On board here with Art Schmidt into this right-hander, making the turn. Going for the throttle.
It seems like...
Oh! There's Kincaid, got underneath him, Larry.
Man, I mean, it seems like the longer he runs, the worse he runs. I think he might have had the wrong tire selection on there. As the track gets slicker, he seems to be going backwards instead of forwards.
Meanwhile, here's this battle with Kendall and O'Donnell. Look, they're just getting thrown around, and that hurt Kendall badly. He got out of sync and those whoops in. O'Donnell just blew on by him.
Boy, he did. O'Donnell really got through them well and straight. That's the key. If you get sideways a little bit, it can really throw you off.
Good look there at Kendall, who's just putting in really a very strong race of his own. Meanwhile, let's go back a little bit. That is Schmidt. And Kincaid, is he showing smoke? He sure is.
Oh boy, he's had all kinds of problems, and that's not a good thing. Anytime you see smoke coming out of the back of those things, it's not good. He's only got 1 lap to go, though. And he looks like he is catching him.
Yeah, he sure does. Boy.
Looks like the right rear. He might, I don't know whether that right rear is rubbing on something. Looks like it might be.
Almost looks like it. There is number 8, Schmidt. Oh, yeah, you called it.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with that engine.
Yeah, he's not, something's wrong. He's just not driving, not getting through the corners. The engine's missing a little bit. So he's got a big time problem. That's the reason he's falling back.
That's a shame because he put in a, wow, that was kind of an interesting. Josh Hintz taking a right-hand turn where it goes left, caught us out just a little bit. Meanwhile, here's Kyle LeDuc, and on his last lap, working some traffic, but he has just got her taped to the floor and just booking.
Yeah, and he certainly isn't bashful. He got right in there, and he's hand in the air, fist in the air. He was plenty happy. There's his dad. He's plenty happy too. Don't blame him.
Kirk happy with that. 3 in a row for his son, and boy, I tell you, they're the two. They talk to each other when they're each racing, so they're pretty much in each other's heads. And look at Kyle, 3 in a row. Boy, get out the broom. Boy, what a great run here. Let's take a look at our results for Pro Light in the 3rd round of the series. LeDuc, Huseman, a great comeback drive. Kincaid, Schmidt, and Lee O'Donnell hanging on. You know, Chad Horde, who had that problem earlier in the going, he fought back to a very strong 6. So you got to be impressed with that as well. So here is Kyle getting out 3rd time in a row. He's able to celebrate here. And that means Ken's with him there in the FabTech winner's circle.
The kid is smooth, man. You are on a roll. 3 in a row. If there's a good way to start off a season, this certainly has to be it. You were behind, of course, Rick Huseman there for a little while, but you stayed smooth, didn't follow the pressure. You bring home a 3rd win.
Man, that is insane. I think I can go from the kid to the man now.
Yeah.
After a 3P like that, you know, running with Ricky is what gets people fast. It gets me fast. It lets me run as fast as he can, and he's super fast and just made a mistake. That's probably one of the hardest turns we've ever had this year. And Skyjacker BF Goodrich Ford Ranger, man, Mastercraft seats hooked up perfect. Just took me all the way to the front.
Your confidence level has to be soaring at this point. You know for a fact you can run with anybody out here and beat them.
Whenever I want to. I mean, I started 8th, and by turn 2, I was sitting, you know, 2nd place behind Ricky and just charging it.
Congratulations, you got a great start on the championship.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think I'm leading, right?
I think you're leading the points now.
So that's good. Thanks.
Confidence level is pinging is where that is right now. Here are the points now after the 3 rounds. LeDuc way out front by 18. Art Schmidt, consistency paying off. Tell you what, that comeback drive by Chad Horde paid off huge to be sitting 3rd in the points. And Huseman actually starting to chip away at it a little bit. Here's the tail to me. Look at that, top 10 in points. You don't see a guy named Kincaid anywhere. Tough go for him this season. Well, you saw the whiz kid. Now it's the wily veteran, his dad, taking on the best of the best in Pro 4, and it's next. We are back, everybody, and Pro 4 is coming to the line. We are about ready to get underway with some serious thunder, but first, Precision Gear news and notes. What's new, Larry?
Well, we all know that the Baldwins have a 3-truck team. Jason runs Pro 4, Josh runs Pro 2 and Pro 4. But did you know their wives, Eve and Sissy, are racing in the Sportsman Single Buggy class? This is truly a family sport for the Baldwins. Last year, Jason Baldwin got hurt, and crew member Case Gunderson got in the truck and ran it for him. He did a great job. Well, what's he doing this season? He's going to be the crew chief for Steve McCross.
And there you have it, our Precision Gear news and notes, and we are coming on out and ready to rock and roll with Pro 4 on board here with Scott Douglas. And remember, he won in round 2, sitting 3rd in the points. Now we're also going to be riding on board with our points leader, Carl Renesetter, but they've all got to be getting through a turn that Ken Stout looks to be getting more and more challenging.
Thanks, Greg. I wanted to show you guys a hole that's been getting worse progressively throughout the afternoon here. Both pro classes that have come out here have torn this track up between turns 1 and 2, and now the 3rd class coming out has a huge rut to deal with in the fastest part of the track. They come down the front straightaway. They enter turn number 1. Right in the middle between turns number 1 and number 2 is the rut that we were just looking at. It's nice and smooth down through here, and all of a sudden you just fall into a hole. If your outside tire's in it, there's no question you can be put on your lid. If your inside tire's in it, well, who knows? Maybe it helps you around the turn.
That's a good point. You get that inside tire hooked up against it. It's kind of like running a rail, and we'll see. You know what I'm curious about is just how long this truck's going to be that white on his way to running here. Tell us a little bit about Pro 4.
These are full-size four-wheel drive pickup trucks. A lot of suspension travel, 850 horsepower. They must weigh 3,650 pounds.
Going to get right to our starting grid, and you see that Al Drews actually would have started second. He elected to move back.